Hello everyone, welcome to Topper IAS Daily Current Affairs Analysis. Today we are discussing about base erosion and profit shifting. This is the first article we are discussing today. What is base erosion and profit shifting? It is some concept taken from economy. For example, multinational companies. For example, MNC, that is multinational corporation M. This opens fast food outlets in India. It makes a profit of 50 crore in India, but if it makes a profit of 50 crore profit in India, it should pay 40% of corporation tax in India. 40% of 50 crore should be paid as corporation tax in India. But to avoid this tax, this MNC shows outlets of loan, raw materials and patented technology from MNC shell firm in Bahamas. It showed this operation cost in here and paid corporation tax in Bahamas, that is 0 to 2% in Bahamas. So it saved for 38% in tax, and it showed operating cost and it reduced operating cost from the profit and showed zero profit in India. So it paid only 18.5% minimum alternative tax in India instead of 40% corporation tax. So this is called tax evasion. That this MNC shift the profit from source country to tax haven to avoid reducing paying taxes. It is known as base erosion and profit shifting, because it made a profit of 50 crore in India, but it showed operating cost in from Bahamas and paid the taxes in Bahamas, and it showed zero profit in India. So it only paid 18.5% as minimum alternative tax. So it reduces 40% corporation tax. Instead of paying 40% corporation tax, it paid only 18.5% of minimum alternative tax. This process is known as base erosion and profit shifting. We have one question related to this. To end this base erosion and profit shifting, the one international collaboration will be bring to avoid this tax avoidance. It is finalized in OECD. So on 8th October 2021, 136 countries signed this agreement and brought one international taxation system. Major reforms in this international tax system finalized in OECD to ensure this multinational enterprises will subject to minimum of 15% tax rate from 2023. Now it is supported by all OECD and G20 countries. Next article is Equalization Levy. What is Equalization Levy? Actually, this is, for example, one company A. It is based in USA. So it makes advertise on online platform and get 10 subscribers from India. So for this company A should pay equalization levy in India. Because of this 10 subscribers, this company has to pay equalization levy in India. This is called equalization levy. This is one form of tax paid by the enterprises to get profit from some countries. For example, it is bring to address the challenge posed by enterprises to conduct their business through the digital means. It is bring especially for the digital platform to carry out their activities in the country, especially the companies who is outside the country. For example, if we consider India, which are all the countries based outside India, they have to pay this equalization levy if they want to conduct their business in India and making the profit out of Indian citizens. This equalization levy is aimed at taxing foreign companies which have to be significant local client base, but the billing of this from outside the country, but this sales are inside the country. That's why this should pay equalization levy. Income Tax Act 1961 has been amended to bring this concept. This significant economic presence is establishing business connection to in case of non-resident Indians. What is equalization levy? It is aimed at taxing foreign companies which have significant local client base, but billing of this is offshore units, but it's not escaping from the taxing in the country. Equalization levy is source based direct tax. No, it is not source based, it is a destination based direct tax. So answer will be one only. Taxing multinational corporates operating the globe over. That's one. 130 countries agreed to introduce new global tax regime. So what is this new global tax regime? It is for taxing multinational corporation operating in globe over. What is the history of this tax regime? The global financial crisis 2008 forced all the countries to change these international tax rules. For what? To prevent the base erosion and profit shifting. This tax regime came for the main purpose. Main purpose of this global tax regime is base erosion and profit shifting. To prevent this global tax regime was brought. What is the reason? Reason for this introduction is global tax. New global tax is many MNCs used to help many MNCs start making tax havens from the small countries and wanted investment and with low direct taxes. That's why they bring global tax regime. Due to this, many countries lost their income from the direct tax. To avoid these tax havens, they brought global tax system. Using this, all the countries should fix minimum tax. Solution for this. What was the solution? OECD, that is Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development, brought 130 countries to achieve historical agreement. It is more stable and fairer international tax architecture. As per the agreement, MNC should no longer pay taxes in the country where they register or headquarters for the tax purposes, but would pay the tax in the country they generate their sales. Where the products are sold, they should pay the tax in the that country. For example, company A based in USA, but its sales are happening in India. So they are no need to pay the tax in USA, but they should pay the tax in India. This is the solution they brought. This is the international agreement they signed. Minimum global tax is 15% on the profits. If they make 100 rupees profit, they should pay 15 rupees as a tax. This should be introduced in all the countries. India, China, Russia, Germany and even other countries have signed this agreement, which has to be implemented from 2023. What are the challenges to this agreement? India should be reconsider this equalization levy, and revenue from this equalization levy should be compared with 15% global minimum tax. So if it is profitable to India, then it can be implemented well. What was the conclusion? The simultaneous implementation of these international tax regime is impossible, because every country has its own consequences. That's why this is quite difficult. If achieved also, this golden era of direct taxes will face some problems, and revamping India's direct tax code, and it will revamp the India's direct tax code, because this concept of global minimum tax required more effort, which is easier to said, but when we came to the practicality, it is very difficult to implement. What is genetically modified foods? If we consider genetically modified organism or transgenic organism, it is a genetic material. It is altered or artificially introduced using genetic engineering techniques. What is genetic modification? It involves mutation, insertion and deletion of the genes. If genes are inserted, it came from different organisms. For example, if we consider Bt cotton, for this Bt genes come from bacterium Bacillus thuringiensis, which are induced. If genetic modification is done to induce desirable new trait, if you want new characteristics, what characteristic we require for that, to get that characteristics, we will do genetic modification using the different organisms. It will not occur naturally in this species. Genetically modified techniques we are used in different fields. Example, biological and medical research, production of pharmaceutical drugs and experimental medicines like gene therapy, and in agriculture. Example like golden rice and Bt cotton, Bt brinjal, etc. And genetically modified bacteria to produce protein insulin, and to produce biofuels from some GM bacteria, and etc. What is genetically modified crops? GM crops are biotech crops. They are plants used in agriculture whose DNA has been modified to induce desired new trait. What is new trait might help in controlling certain pests and diseases and even environmental conditions. It will reduce spoilage, and it helps to increase the shelf life of fruits and vegetables, and it will also increase commercial value of these crops, and it also resistance to the chemical treatment, improve nutrient profile. Example, golden rice, it contain vitamin A and atmospheric nitrogen fixation by the cereal crops, and inducing tolerance to high soil. For example, it is tolerance to alkaline soils, and also to flooding in crops, induce drought resistance crop, because in India irrigation facilities are available only to 40% of the agricultural land, and even monsoon is irregular. So this is very important. So this is the procedure how the bacteria DNA extraction and isolation, and how they cloned, and how they designed these genes, and how they transformed, and how they cultured, and then how they breeding. Everything will be shown here. Major GM crops. First thing, Bt cotton. This is the only one crop in India permitted to grown commercially. Bt cotton is insect resistant cotton variety. These strains of bacterial Bacillus thuringiensis produce different Bt toxins. These toxins are insecticidal. This helps to it will harm the larvae of moths, bollworms, etc. But it will not harm any other life. In 2002, the joint venture between Monsanto and Myco introduced this Bt cotton in India. Next, Bt brinjal. It is India's second most consumed vegetable after potatoes. It is created by crystalline protein gene from this bacteria, and this Bt brinjal has been developed to give resistance to this FSB. This Myco was developed this Bt brinjal variety. This genetic engineering appraisal committee cleared this BT Brinjal for commercialization in 2009, but it is again banned by government, that is imposed moratorium on this commercial use, but it is not a permanent ban, but still it is on the ban. It is not commercially cultivable, but in India it is not commercially cultivable, but in Bangladesh it is commercially grown. Golden rice, it is a variety of rice. It contains vitamin A, mostly consumed in areas where shortage of dietary vitamin A. What are the issues with this genetically modified organism? First thing is safety. Second one, access and intellectual property. And third thing, ethical issues. First issue is safety. It will adverse impact on genetically modified food and not evident immediately. And it potential human health impact. And it will also impact on the environment. And it also impact on anti-GM lobby, that is, it should be evaluated. We should evaluate the risk, cost and benefits of this, and we should propose a blanket ban on genetic modification. Second thing banbitu access and intellectual property. It dominates the world food production by few companies and increasing dependence on industrialization and biopiracy. These are the some access and intellectual property issues, that is foreign exploitation of natural resources. Third one, ethical issues. It will violate the natural organism's intrinsic values. Second thing, tampering the nature by mixing genes among the species, and objection by transferring animal genes in plants and plant genes in animal. So these are some ethical issues, because every animal and plant has their own intrinsic values. We should not disturb. We should not disturb the nature. We should not disturb the natural flow of the environment. So that's why this is the ethical issues, the main concerns of this genetically modified organisms. Next, genetic engineering appraisal committee. This genetically modified permitting authority in India. This is a genetically modified permitting authority. This genetic engineering appraisal committee is an apex regulator of GM crops. It mandated that the trials of GM crops should obtain the permission from this genetic engineering appraisal committee. This committee is a statutory body. It is established under the Environment Act 1986 and the functions under Ministry of Environment, Forest and Climate Change. Why it is in news? Why genetically modified organisms are news? Because India's broken rice exported to Europe as flagged in the Europe due to the contamination in rice flour. This genetically contaminated with the genetic modification. This was checked by the European Commission Rapid Alert System for Food and Feed, and was testing rice flour by French company and alerted all other European countries. So India does not permit any commercial cultivation of GM rice, but research grew for testing varieties of such rice trial in the flats. Thus suspicion is that it may be leaked from these flats and contaminate the nearest agricultural land. Because of this close connection between farmers and the agriculture during the field trials. But this would lead to some changes. New varieties of crops employing all kinds of scientific experiments. For this, India should focus on non-transgenic modification and what are the challenges in that, and we should segregate these trial flats from the normal agricultural land, and we should identify transgenic modification and non-transgenic modification. Conclusion. What was the conclusion? Indian farmers are dependent on the European imports. Center must relieve these importers, and India's produce is complaint with the trade demand, because most of the Indian farmer depend on the European imports. That's why India should be quick to relieve this complaints. GM free rice, that is tagged to organic rice, is a high value export worth of 63 crore annually. India should protect this, and India must also move to ensure that research into approaches, that is GM or non-GM, should not become a casualty in this matter and export quality complaints. And even India should learn from this European Commission rapid alert system for food and feed. India should also make some arrangement to set up these labs for testing the imports of animal feed. Some questions about this: GM techniques are used in biological and medical research, agriculture, and genetically modified bacteria to produce the protein insulin and to produce biofuels from some GM bacteria. Select the correct code. So all the answer will be right for this. BT cotton is insect resistance cotton variety. Yes, it is a insect resistance cotton variety. BT toxin are insecticidal to larva, moth, bollworms, but harmless to other form of life. Yes, both the statements are correct. Brinjal in India's second most consumed vegetable after potatoes. Yes, it's right. Genetic Engineering Appraisal Committee cleared BT brinjal for commercialization in 2009. Yes, this is also right. Mycos BT brinjal is commercially grown in Bangladesh. Yes, it's right, because in India it is not permitted, but in Bangladesh it is permitted. Answer will be all. That's all for today. If you have any doubts, you can ask in the comment section. Thank you all.